Hard to see when you're invisible. That doesn't make much sense, actually. I don't get that. I'm like, I guess I can understand, but I don't know. Penny.
Ah, look, Penny.
Yes. Oh fuck. That's a bad. Oh my god! I'm surprised you weren't able to get down here with that amazing portal technology. It's pretty strange how those portal guns work. I mean, it combines the top scientific processes of our time to the portal gun. Oh my fuck. Oh fuck. What? Plank.
And after that, they just up and arrested him.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I just did the same thing again. Fuck. I'm an idiot. Also, why isn't this loading? Okay, here we go. Snap.
What?
Wait. Oh, diamond. Oh, okay. 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 Yeah, it's back. Okay, cool. Is it fleeing the complex or infiltrating the airship first? Did you do the teleporter? Yeah, I did the teleporter. Or wait, did I? Whatever. Point is, I think I did. I think I did. Airship? Okay. Nice.
Well, look who finally decided to wake up. You've been quite elusive, but your skills make you worth the catch. You'll be perfect for the job.
What's up with this?
We've been having some issues with a group of thieves known as the Top Hat Clan. We know they're guilty, we just can't pin them to any crimes. You'll be going into the
I love
airship
this one
to
so
bring them
much.
down.
Okay.
I don't need to remind you that we've got you on several charges. Attempted robbery, breaking yourself out of prison, even stealing a Tunisian diamond.
I guess that was
We've
that.
got quite a lot of counts on you. Do this job right, and we'll drop all
It's like not the right
charges
aspect
against you.
ratio. It's so weird.
Charlie here will be bringing you
What's
close
up
to
with
the
this?
airship. The rest is up to you. Find a way to bring him down, and you'll be a free man.
Sticky hand? Okay.
Hey, how do you want me to bring you in?
Sticky hand? Okay. Oh, shit. Hell yeah. Fuck. This has like gone up in quality so much.
Hey, did you hear something over there?
Nah, man, I didn't hear nothing.
What? What? Oh. A winner is you. Let's try to start. Your piece.
Check. This is Charles. Thought I'd give you a heads up. There's a guy down there, a bad guy. So, yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Knock. You probably nice. Okay, pass it. Oh fuck yeah. Vacuum.
How are you liking it?
Hey, good job there. Oh, so we should probably look for something incriminating. Something that we can use to prove that they're criminals, you know? I mean, the whole point of this operation.
All right, gentlemen. We've been tasked with developing new weapons for the clan. Any ideas?
I was kind of thinking.
Right, so if we go up to 3 caliber... Hey, you there. What do you think you're doing? It's Smith, right? What are you doing here, mate? Your wife's just gone into labour. Take that escape pod behind you. It'll take you right to the hospital. Go ahead. Don't worry. I'll tell the chief.
Oh, congratulations. Oh my god. Henry should be a spy. No, he shouldn't, because he literally just... Oh, cool. That's gonna work.
No, we can't do that. Why not, man? You do realize how much a solid gold cannon would weigh, don't you?
Dude, we totally got enough power.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna work.
Well, I'm still kind of new here, so I'm not really sure what to say.
Oh, hey, you see that record sign? Where it says records? That'd probably be a good place to look, right? Let me just, help you get across that gap.
Huh?
Yeah.
Alright, here it comes.
That's nice. Oh, I died.
Pardon. Okay. Press
As long as that guy does that open the door. Yeah, why don't you let me take
not
care of this?
understands this.
I do not understand this. Gatling gun.
Alright, get to bring out the big guns.
Hey, you should be good to go now.
Wow. Oh fuck. Oh my god. Charles is the
Oh
best.
man, I remember this. Good thing nobody knows about this or we'd be in a lot of trouble.
For some reason I remember Spook working on this. First read it.
Falcon!
Oh fuck. Okay.
Oh man, I remember this. Good thing nobody knows about this or we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Oh man, that duck just flew right into the propeller. Oh, what a mess.
Wait, what? Oh,
Oh
I
man,
took
I
too
remember
long?
this. Good thing nobody knows about this or we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
Oh, hello, Mr. Spider.
Alright, you got some evidence. Oh, wait. There's no way you're getting through there. Lots of guys, and there's lots of guns. That's all I'm gonna say. It looks like you can get around if you go through that air duct. Alright, I've hacked into their power grid. What do you want me to do?
Yes, shut off the power.
Okay, shutting down the power now.
Oh fuck.
Alright, I've hacked into their power grid.
I'm
What do you
still
want me to
alive. Okay, cool. I don't need your help.
do? I'm sorry, I just thought you needed some help, that's all.
Good hustle.
Alright, I've hacked into their power grid. What do
Keep
you want me
pressing
to
to
do?
make an animal noise. Okay.
Meh.
Okay. I don't understand what that means.
Meh.
Okay. I don't understand what that means.
Meh.
Okay. I don't understand what that means.
I have a good idea. This will take a bit. Do I have a spam clip anchor already? I hope I do. No, not spam. Spam. Perfect. Okay, so it'll be macro 2. Macro 2. Hope this works. This doesn't seem to want to work. Damn it. What? Toggle, okay. So, clearly it's not working. You can continue. 1 second. This will take a second. Okay, no delay. Okay, there. And then, like, yeah, that's perfect. Okay.
Meh.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I don't understand what that means.
Meh.
Okay. 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 I don't understand what that means.
Meh.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
I don't understand what that means.
Okay, just reroute then.
Okay, I'll reroute the power to a random room, it's fine.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, jeez.
Alright, Henry, you're almost there. I'm right outside, so just open the bay doors and I'll get you on the chopper.
Hey, what are you doing? Yeah, we got a situation down in the cargo bay.
Good. Play Minecraft? Minecraft actually is really laggy on my stream. So sorry. Like, as you can tell, this is still sometimes laggy. Oh fuck.
Hey, there's a button on your earpiece. You should press it.
What's going? This could be a problem.
Maybe. I might do that. Okay.
Yeah, I've been looking at the numbers here. What do you think?
Ah, yes. Let me have a look.
Oh, your favorite maps? Okay. But like I said, Minecraft is really laggy on my stream. Sorry.
then! Everyone listen up. We've got a security alert. Keep a lookout for a guy in a big plastic ball. No, I'm serious.
Oh no. Oh.
Hurry up now. Activate the doors. Hurry up now. Activate the doors.
Oh, fuck.
Hurry up now. Activate the doors.
Whoa.
Beans, I agree. Oh, fuck. Game theory. Oh, fuck, it actually works.
Now I've got you.
This is like Earthbound, right? Yeah, it is Earthbound. Or... No, not Earthbound. Some other shit. Oh, Jesus. Bombs. Oh, fuck. Blitz. Huh. 1 exactly. I don't know crap about old games? Okay. Get wrecked. Yeah. Spatial, no. Tools. What worked? Huh. Yo-yo? Sorry, I might do it in a bit. So. Oh, fuck.
Help, help! Listen, you've defeated my right-hand man, and you've defeated me. I surrender the airship to you.
Great work, Henry. Now just get him to us, and you'll get your life back.
I think I remember this one working. To the side, okay.
You think they're alright?
Oh,
They
God.
fall. I'm sure Henry had a plan. What is it?
take him down. Return fire.
Oh fuck! A crit. Parachute. Tank. Just an actual tank. Oh fuck. The tank works too? Oh, it does? It actually works. Oh, just that makes sense. Okay. Because it's a game. Okay, fine. What is this? Oh. How long, please? That. Oh my god! I know this now! I know this reference, so that's from like Hitman or something. Yeah, I called it. Oh my god, it's hilarious. What is it on? It's on a shrimp. Alan, please add details. It's so good. Alan, please add details. That's pretty good. Wait. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. He's dead. Oh, maybe. That's the key. What key? What?
And my apologies, everyone. Had to deploy some invasive maneuvers. A flock of ducks flew by.
Oh, okay. Fail. Oh, wait, what? Fail this one and go back one? Okay. No, I can't save him. Fuck. Heck. Heck. Here, I'll fail this one and then I'll go step back. Why did you draw a nutshot crawler? Okay. Again, okay. Elevator? Oh, a key! Oh, that's cool! So then where do I go? Yeah, I clicked on the key. So where do I go now? Vent, okay. Just what you did before, okay.
And my apologies, everyone. Had to deploy some invasive maneuvers. A flock of ducks flew by.
Flock of ducks flew by.
Hey, you think you could let me out of here?
Nice!
Oh, thank you.
My ear hole just literally destroyed. myself. Okay. Power glove. Hey, okay. Vaporizer. Oh, hell yeah.
Hey, you! Stop right there!
What's going on? Looks like he set off some sort of alarm in the vault.
What? He's going rogue?
Alright, move to plan B. Call in reinforcements and move in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is Jeffrey. I got him right here, so you guys don't need to.
Hell yeah. What? Okay. Yeah, what was my plan? I was gonna like, okay, I was just about to say I was gonna kick the shell, but no. Oh fuck. The anything plus innator equals perfect. You're right.
Man, let's go! Come on now!
Oh, lag?
Wilson, we've got to get out of here. We've got chaos at our front doorstep. We're not built to deal with this, man.
Go. Evacuate everyone.
And it's gone.
Take
Fuck.
care of this.
Is it though? It's not on my screen. Okay, good. Oh, it's this one. Gavin. Oh, fuck. That's pretty cool. Oh shit. Okay. Oh fuck. Actually, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this scene. It's super fucking sad. Fuck. Let's see him. Oh. Okay. Prototype. Oh fuck.
There he is! He's got the ruby.
Now forget about it. We've got to retreat, or else the Toppat clan will be history.
Okay.
Orders, Captain? Let him go.
What?
We got what we came for. He's not worth the trouble.
Nice. think I've done everything from this one. Isn't the editor's fleeing a complex? Which apparently got an update. And that was the airship. Nice. Play something else. I'm gonna finish this series first.
Ah, hello, Henry.
Keep.
Welcome to the wall. Some of the most cunning and notorious criminals are kept here, and now we have the infamous...
Maybe Agario? Okay.
You're going to be here for a long time. Grigori, take him. You wait here until cell found. Is Grigori? Yeah, you know new one, Henry? He's dead. Yes. Put him with others. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
And I'm like, look at how much
BC.
I care. I don't care. I ended up buffing up my guys and doing like 70 damage.
That's funny. Oh yeah, last night I kept facing the same deck.
Okay. I love it.
Doo-doo-doo. Oh yeah, last night I kept...
Okay. I just. What? Distract. Oh my god. Fuck. Oh god!
Oh yeah,
Okay.
last night I kept facing
Oh,
the same
no.
deck. Hey buddy.
Hey, buddy! I was-
Oh yeah, last night I kept...
what? Hey, buddy!
If we can get you up there, you could get in and open this door.
Oh yeah.
Quick, in here.
Hold it right there, inmates.
One each? Oh fuck.
Ow. Uh-oh.
Never!
Okay. That's pretty good actually. Sniper rifle. That
So,
works.
you say all inmates is out of cell.
Sniper crossbow?
Some
Oh
idiot.
fuck, I
Hey,
missed
I
it.
just grabbed these. Maybe they'll come in handy.
Okay, I have to go back.
I thought you press.
Let's actually go back to the map. Always enough. Sniper rifle and crossbow. Did he say Nibba? No. Maybe. He probably. I hate this. I'm not laughing. Oh, fuck. Oh no. Oh no. What other one? What other combination? Grenade and tasers. Oh fuck, it's a charged creeper. It's a charged creeper. It's a fucking charged creeper. Oh fuck, oh shit, oh fuck. Yeah, see if saying Nibba. I actually don't know his name.
Ow. Uh-oh. Never!
Nibba. Okay, is this right? That works.
So, you say all inmate is out of cell? Yeah, some idiot must
Hey,
have opened
I
all
just
the
grabbed
doors.
these. Maybe they'll come in handy.
Are we waiting for someone, or...? I thought you press.
Blend in.
Hold the elevator? Thanks. Can you believe this inmate outbreak? Crazy, huh?
Yes, it is pretty crazy. Oh, are you guys new here?
Oh yeah, we transferred from the 8th floor.
From the cafeteria? Nice try, inmates.
Pass
We'll
by.
regroup with 3rd floor. We'll help them clear out maximum security. What do you think? Duh, I like.
It worked. Oh, never mind.
Who get the guards?
Okay, so toss.
We'll regroup with There is convict here. Get down on ground. Back to your cell, inmate. Boing. What, you think that will upset me? Oh, very much.
Thanks, I guess. Now let's get out of here.
Huh. The video quality is trash. Yeah, okay. It could be worse, trust me.
Well, if it isn't Henry,
Wait,
there has not been an incident here in 50
instantly
years.
press on
You
make
will
a
barely
face?
show up these headless.
Fuck.
You are going to regret everything.
Oh shit. Alright, looks like... Oh, okay, I did it. Ka. Make a tier list, because it's a mini dank meme. It's a dank meme. Maybe. Ufio. I agree. George 3.
Oh no, no.
Alright. Boost up is a one more way. Okay.
Warum ist die Pferd zu klein? Was? Nein! Wow!
Hell yeah. Oh wait.
Wo ist er?
Sir, I got a message.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like Henry Stickman. Stickman. Yeah, Henry Stickman has escaped. You still there?
Attention! We have an escaped convict. He was last seen heading towards the surface. Do not make me do this myself.
What? Okay. Damn, TK. The cock.
Alright, he's up here somewhere. We cannot let him get through this gate. Oh, nice art.
Sandwich. Well, is this in this reference to Castle Crashers or something? It's pretty good.
Hey, you wanna try that?
Oh, fuck.
I have to say, Henry, I'm impressed. Really, I am. You're the first person to escape the wall, but this is the end for you. You've got two options here, Henry.
I've seen in-game, yes I have, but some people in the stream may have not, so do not spoil it, I swear. I care about other people, you motherfucker.
I have to say,
Sorry.
Henry, I'm impressed. Really, I am. You're the first person to escape the wall, but this is the end for you.
I guess I'm about to
You've
click
got two
again.
options here, Henry.
No spoil.
You stay in there, or you made the right choice.
Well. Okay. From which country is everyone? What? Yeah, I'm from America. Netherlands. Ooh. It's a meme. Okay. Titles are hard. Oh shit, oh fuck. Also, what? Okay, here we go. Here we go
I have
again.
to say, Henry, I'm impressed. Really, I am.
Bruh, I agree.
You're the
Yeah, you're
first
from bruh.
person to escape the wall,
Oh,
but this is
fuck.
the end for you. You've got two options here, Henry. You stay in
I need
there,
to hurry.
or you return.
Airbag! What? Oh, okay. Don't do anything. I know not to do anything. I actually remember this. I know you don't do anything.
Escape the wall.
I'm
This
just
is
kind of
the end
I'm just
for
kind of
you.
memeing,
You've got two options here, Henry. You stay in
seeing
there,
all the endings.
or you return with us back to the complex. What's it going to be, Henry? Well, that's just too bad. Alright, everyone back to work. I will not forget about this. This is coming out of your paycheck, all of you.
You're live. Yes, I am. One second, trying to do something here. Oh my god, stop sending me memes! Okay, there. Okay, couldn't you, like, leave without her? Which, honestly, is kind of dumb, but... What even is that fucking sound? I stopped watching Call Me Carson for this. Well, you made a bad decision, also you should be mod. There, you're mod. Bye. Okay, you fucking
At
suck.
this point, he has only like 10 health.
Yeah, you made a mistake
plays
by
the
stop
Hits
watching Call Me
or
Carson.
And I'm like, look at how much I care. I don't care.
Oh, hell yeah.
I ended up buffing up my guys and doing.
Stop sending memes. I'm too ugly to show my face live. Oh, okay. You're a poopy head. You know that? You're a poopy. Please stop. Who thinks I should make my cursor? Okay. Nice. Okay. Scared me because I was just kind of not even moving my mouse, and then the moment I hovered over that, I was like, oh fuck.
I ended up buffing up my guys and. Oh, come on. Are you serious? That was totally you. You what? Don't you accuse
You
me.
what?
Come on, just admit it. It
Thank you
wasn't-
for that, Geometry Dash player. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, that worked. You what? Okay, oh fuck. Just jump. Bungee. Obligatory GD in my name. I don't really like Geometry Dash in person. No, dude, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I'm not. I know you don't. I'll oblige to put that into my name to identify that I play GD. They kiss. That's gay. Wait. They just what? What? Who kiss? Jet James. That works. Probably actually won't work. Yeah, we have stop.
Hey boys, lunch is on me.
What's down already, fellas? Jet, when are you gonna fix the keyboard's enter key? I didn't program that. Like, it's just kind of like that. I know it's really dumb looking, but like, my actual keyboard isn't like that, as you can clearly see. But I actually can't fix that because I didn't make it. I found this keyboard server thing that I can do with. I can't fix it. I can't fix it. I can't fix it! Oh! I just became the Hulk temporarily. Sorry. I fucking hate when that happens. Where the fuck did you get all those subscribers? Yes. Just fix it. Hey! That is a not nice word. What is a not nice word? What is a not nice word? Banish you to the Shadow Realm now. Okay. Damn, why can't the Hulk help person can help you? Piss, shit, and fuck. Fuck, this is a great stream. Hi! Hey, you need to be mod, but also, no. You're hot. Please stop. Thank you. What about his dad? No, I think he's saying you are hot, dad, that he's calling me dad, which is not okay, but unmod me? Fuck no. Okay, got it. Why is everyone here a Geometry Dash player? Because I literally grew my community over Geometry Dash. Viber, how did you get 100 subs, 2 vids? Wait, seriously? You should see Snowy's stream. Is Snowy still streaming? This stream is giving more questions than a fucking math test. I know! I don't know. I'm kind of fine with it. I mean, like, it's just kind of my stream.
Why?
He's snow stream. He's just practicing this is not antimatter, this is fucking Phobos. Okay?
Whoops, too early. Too early. Too early.
Yeah, this stream is ultra dead. Nathaniel Bandy, I fucking agree. James just watched my stuff, so I decided to stop by. Okay. Okay. Just watch me, yeah. Phobos is ultra gain difficulty, yeah, pretty much. That's a good idea. Spam him? Oh yeah.
Jet?
Both Electroman and...
Just time him out, boy.
I'll give you guys one more warning. If you guys don't stop, I'm gonna go tell my mom.
Oh yeah, Jet, we were just talking about you, but...
I love your... Please
Just
stop.
talking about you, Jet.
Argentina, what?
Saying how much of a nice person you were.
These people sound 10 years old, pretty much. They fucking timed me out.
Jet, I'm timing you out.
What's he doing? Is he spamming still?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Why is this geometry community filled with children? Like...
Jet! Jet, I love you, Dad. You're so hot with your yellow sunglasses.
They're not fucking sunglasses, they're just my glasses.
No, they're your yellow sunglasses.
Oh, hey Dad. I hate this. I just made a humongous mistake. Fuck is this? I have made a humongous mistake, haven't I?
Oh my god, your voice is so loud. God damn.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking let me just like...
Toxic community?
Someone
Okay.
just leave. I think it was Smith.
Alright, I'm on my
Probably off to
phone
see
now.
his family. Yeah.
I really don't like the Geometry Dash community. That's like the main thing why I don't like it.
Okay.
The game itself is
You should add to the call no. And you're not gonna get it to call you Weeb. Your literal name is I'm a
Oh,
Weeb.
wait,
Like, you can't
calling
deny
us-
that.
I just realized you're calling us in the Epic Gang 19. For anybody on a stream who's wondering, it's just like a meme group chat I made.
Yeah, and I'm also in the call.
Yeah, Jet James streaming right now. He posted his name.
Yeah.
To invite people if you want.
How does this work?
Yeah, Jet James, you're allowed to invite anybody else.
Oh, really? But I'm not gonna, honestly.
Alright. So, does anybody on Jet James stream play a
Play what? Your mic cut off.
Osu?
Osu? I might want to play some Osu, I don't know. Let me join call. Dude, I remember you're like 2. Couldn't think of a low age, so I just said 2. I'm not like, oh my god. I'm not like, ooh, pounces on your bulgy woji, oh. Yes, you are like that, because you literally just said that. I just roasted you so hard. I was still at school. Okay.
What?
Mania and normal. Oh, I'm a weed plays Mania and normal.
Oh,
Osu.
that's epic. What's their Mania profile?
Nani, please shut up.
I'm a weeb. I'm just gonna look that up. Go to player. Oh, here it is. Last seen about a minute ago. Yeah. Mania.
Yeet James? Yes.
Global
No.
ranking 151.
Let me. Everybody wants a group chat. Why am I getting so many Markipliers? Shit. Actually, no.
Yeah, I'm about to become a 4-digit in Mania, but I've mostly been working on Archaea.
Dude, these are some great favorites. I swear to God, Snowy, if you time me out, and I literally haven't timed you out ever from spamming. Okay. Like, honestly. Like, I have never timed
Something's wrong with your stream.
Something's wrong with it?
Something's wrong with your stream.
What about it?
It's not the video or anything, it's just the chat.
I know, I'm seeing it. I don't really care.
Chat's on crack right now.
I know. Yeah.
But seriously, where do you get all those subscribers, man?
Honestly, it's just Geometry Dash. Like, that's the only thing that gets me subscribers anymore if I, like, do GD level requests. Honestly, it's not very fun, but I mean, like, it gets me somewhere.
To be honest, half of my fans are Geometry Dash fans, and I don't really like it. Like, they keep telling me to stream Geometry Dash, but I'm probably not going to.
Yeah.
I always wanted to become a rhythm game streamer, like Osu streamer, Archaea streamer, but nobody in my channel likes that.
Oh yeah, by the way,
it's pretty hard to work with.
For some reason, like, I barely ever play Osu, but point is, I literally like what?
Somebody in your chat says it smells like Asian in here, and no, I'm not Asian.
Okay. Don't
I'm
forget
like the whitest boy ever.
Don't forget your own rip of GD. Oh, fuck, not that.
I can't even say the N-word without giving somebody my pass.
Say it.
Hey, I'm a weeb. I'm gonna friend you on Osu if you're still online.
I'll find you.
Alright, you are. And add as friend. I couldn't spell my name correctly because.
Watch this. Dude, this is the best chart ever.
Song rewritten for fans of Rings of Saturn on my Osu. I'm gonna play it.
Another crazy story? Come on, AC. I was hanging at the court, just playing some ball, working on my game. Yeah, we heard it all. I heard the
so what are you gonna play now?
It was for me.
Perfection.
It was 12 for 3. It was Shaquille O'Neal. What did he say?
How about some one-on-one? You wanna play?
I told him why not. I got some time, but when I beat you,
it's all jump trails, man.
Please, Aaron, are you for real? One-on-one, Shaquille O'Neal.
It's all jump trails and like 210 BPM streams.
Stared at Shaq, psych him out. Said O'Neal, you're in my house now. Start the game, the whistle blows.
Is there a rock at your window?
The story goes, it's like boom.
Oh. I gotta turn down my speakers. Yeah. Nobody on my channel likes Osu, but I still play it because screw. Most of my fans came from Mario 64 and Mario 64 ROM hacks because Daddy Simple Flips is up there.
Question: is it legal to play Super Mario 64 ROM hacks?
It is. Anybody who says it isn't is getting banned. I'm sorry, it's the truth.
I heard something about it not being legal for me to play Super Mario World ROM hacks, like Janked Up Mario Party.
Ignore that.
Janked Up Mario Party is really fun.
They say you're not allowed to because you're like, oh, it's piracy. You didn't buy the actual game.
See, you told me to throw it out the window. I'm not gonna fucking break my window. I'm just gonna kind of throw it out.
Half the people who buy these games actually do have the original game because they're probably mega OG gamers like I am.
There I go, and I just found a random ROM hack online, and I downloaded it. And
Even then,
I'm not
even
sure.
if it was
I don't even know how
pirated,
to
who
fuck
cares? The
open
game's ancient at this point. Like 30 plus years old, I think.
Also, there's a spider web there. Ugh! Ugh! It's like a dead bug. It's fucking disgusting.
I heard a slap.
Ugh! Ugh! What is that?
Are you good?
I'm a weeb. I already friended you.
Anyway, I really don't know how to throw it out this fucking window. Like, without breaking it at least. Osu, man. Okay. Fuck. I have to, like, you know, like...
Oh, God.
Okay, I'm just gonna fucking throw it... I'm gonna yeet it across the room.
Oh, God.
By the way, I can't even hear you guys right now. I'm just kinda... Yes. Okay, bye. I'm gonna put the rock back.
Fan base is whack, man. I don't know, there's just something wrong with it.
Yep.
Something seems pretty fishy.
Yep.
Howdy.
Howdy, gamer.
Howdy, gamer.
Welcome
Bro,
to
your
my
fan base is
section.
whack.
Oh, you're the host? Oh, I was gonna say Jeff's gonna kick me.
Welcome to
Wait,
my
what's
section.
even happening?
I am not in the call.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hey, should I make a multi-room for us?
Sure.
No.
Alright.
No.
Do you have like a 60 hertz monitor?
Yeah.
Or Hertz
Alright.
60?
Good, because I'm on a Mac right now because my little brother destroyed my PC that I built.
Hey, well,
So-
guys, I'm probably gonna end the stream. I'm probably gonna leave the call as well, so,
Alright, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm probably am too.
Okay, bye.